Hello and welcome. We are doing a workshop today all about the feet. And this is one of those subjects that we don't really think about very often unless we do have specific foot issues and we go to a podiatrist. But we don't coordinate yoga and our feet. And from a yoga therapy standpoint, the feet are the foundation of the body. And they are one of the most important foundations of the body. We have other foundations in the body, and we'll go into that. But the feet are the basis. It is our connection to the earth. And if there is something that's not aligned in our feet, then we will feel it in the rest of our body. And again, we'll go more into that during this workshop. So the way I have this set up is that we're going to go through a little presentation that I made, and I have lots of notes that I want to share with you, just so that I really do believe that knowledge is power. And so feel free to grab your notebook, take some notes. You'll have access to this recording so you can access the slides at any time. And then we're going to do some demonstrations and get into what we can do for foot health. All right, so let's get started. I'm going to share my screen. Okay. And I want to go to the first one. I was all the way at the last one. Okay. All right. So it all starts with the feet. So again, this is so important. The feet are considered one of the most important foundations in our body. So we have other foundations in the body. So think of the feet as one plane, one shelf. Our hips and our pelvis is another foundation. And then our shoulders are another foundation. And the way I've been taught is that the feet and the pelvis are two of the most important, and I emphasize a lot with the feet. So think of it as if one small thing was off in any one of those shelves, the feet, the hips, or the shoulders, we're going to feel it within the rest of our body, right? It's going to have a chain reaction all the way across the body, all the way up and down the body. So the feet are really important. Okay, here's a fun fact for you. The average 80-year-old may walk an equivalent of 110,000 miles. That's quite a bit, and that's 4 times around the globe. So think about that. Can you imagine putting 110,000 miles on your car? That's how many miles we put on our bodies, okay? Average, right? So you may have more, you may have less. That's average. So we are using our feet a lot, okay? And it has repercussions on the rest of our body. All right, another fun fact. It is completely natural for the foot to change with age. Okay, it's just going to happen. Just like anything else in our body changes as we age. For example, with the feet, your foot may widen and your arch may start to collapse. Now, there's reasons why we don't want the arch to collapse. We don't want the foot to widen. It's natural for that to happen, but there are things that we can do to either prevent or to prolong that from happening or slow down these things from happening. All right, this to me is mind-blowing. This is how complicated our foot is. Your one foot has 26 bones. It has 33 joints, 107 ligaments, and 19 muscles, all in one foot. The foot is complicated. There's a lot going on here in just that one small area. Okay, and here is a diagram, a picture of the bones in your feet. So the phalanges, that is your toes, right? And then we have these metatarsal phalangeal joints, and that's what creates that the joints that are in the toes. That's what creates that movement in the toes. We have the talus bone. So if you want to feel for your foot right now, that is just right below the ankle. That's what gives us mobility, right below the ankle. And I'm going to butcher this name, calcaneus. Calcaneus? That might be it. It is the heel bone. Okay, and this is a large bone. It's one of the largest bones in your foot. Okay, so there's a lot of movement here, a lot of small bones, and a couple of larger. Okay, so some foot issues that you may have besides the foot widening and the arch collapsing, besides aches and pains in the feet, are bunions, arthritis, and plantar fasciitis. Okay, so we're going to try to address all these things and get into why these things are happening, how we can prevent, reverse, slow them down, that type of thing. And I will just say overall, no, I'll save that for later. Moving on. Okay, so these are some of the foot exercises that we're going to get into. And actually, I am going to pause here, but you get a little bit of a preview. We're going to come back to this and we're going to actually do these foot exercises. So we have a couple here, and then I have a few more that I'm going to share with you as well. And these are things that you can do every day for flexible, strong feet, which obviously we know is really important. Okay, I'm going to stop sharing my screen. And again, we will come back to this. All right. So a couple other things I wanted to talk about, which I think are really important for understanding how our feet work so that we can best take care of them. So these are all in random order. They are notes that I've taken from working with clients, from working with my mentor, my yoga teacher. So wearing flip-flops. So we can actually address this in all the shoes that we wear. We need properly fitted shoes, okay? When we do wear flip-flops, if you do wear flip-flops, you want to make sure that you're not scrunching your toes, that you're not gripping, right? Because then we're just creating this tension. We are not creating this nice alignment, and it's going to set everything else off. So especially with flip-flops or clogs, make sure you're not gripping. You don't want to have to grip to hold on to your shoes. And I will also say, with speaking of shoes, we want a shoe that fits our feet, especially the width. So when we think of the widest part of our foot, I want you to look down and look at your feet. It's our toe box, right? So look at the widest part of your foot. You want to find a shoe that fits this area. You don't want to find a shoe where that you have to fit your foot into the shoe, right? Does that make sense? So we want our shoes to be these tools to make our lives better, enhance our lives, not to create more more chaos within us, right? We already have enough of that. Okay. And speaking of that, bunions will happen if the toe box is too tight. Okay, it's going to be scrunched in there and it's going to create friction. And that is one of the reasons why a bunion will happen. Okay, we talked about the feet being the foundation of the body as well as the pelvis and the hips, but we're all talking about the feet today. So when we are addressing the feet, when we're looking at the feet, we are looking to adjust, stabilize, and balance. So if we do need to make any changes to our feet, we're adjusting, right? We're adjusting. We want to stabilize that so that we can continue having that proper alignment and then keep everything balanced. Okay, I want to share this quote. If anyone is familiar with Ida Rolf, she started a technique called Rolfing, which has become more popular in yoga studios recently. I'm not super familiar with it, but her theory is that we are moving the body, we are stretching the body, and what's really important is that we're getting into the fascia, the myofascial release. So that is, if you're unfamiliar with fascia, fascia is this webbing. Think of it as webbing, as a casing around, it surrounds all of our muscles, every single muscle. It's kind of like casing it in. It's also around every single strand of muscle. Okay, so it really is everywhere. And it's over our entire body, right? All of the muscles. So we have this layer of fascia all the way from the head, chest, arms, all the way down to the toes. And so we can really feel sometimes stretching muscles is not enough. We have to stretch the fascia. And since our fascia is all connected, we know everything in our bodies are connected. Something will affect almost everything, right? We are aware that if there's an issue with the feet, there's an issue with potentially the rest of the body. So this remarkable woman who started this movement, and it's really popular now, the Rolfing technique, she believes in a correlation between our mentality and our emotional being and our body. Okay. So she says the psychological effect of foot problems is remarkably consistent. A deep, unconscious feeling of insecurity. So take that if that resonates with you. If it doesn't, no worries. So this idea that when we have these emotional issues that we're not addressing, we just are burying them, they pop up in places in our bodies. And the feet, according to Ida, are connected to, I would say, our insecurities. I would also say how we perceive ourselves, our ego. So it's all connected to this idea. Okay, I want to get a little bit into arches, and then we're going to do some actual movement and exercise. So I know we're moving fast, um, but that's all good. Okay, so strong arches. We know that they are really important because if your arches are fallen or if they start to fall, I'm going to tell you what happens if you have fallen arches. The base of your tibia collapses. Now, your tibia is this bone from the knee down connecting to your foot. So that big bone, the center of that bone is going to start to collapse, okay, because our arch is fallen. All right. And then when we actually visualize that happening, what does that affect? That affects our knee. So think about it. If you have knee pain or knee problems, It could be from the foundation, right? Our feet are a big part of our foundation. It could be because of something going on in your foot or that fallen arch, right? What else is going to collapse? Your inner ankle is going to collapse, right? And I want you to look down and actually see this and visualize this happening. When your arch falls, your inner ankle is going to collapse, which means that it's not going to be as strong, which means that we have a weak spot in that area, which means that we could potentially be setting ourselves up for a twisted ankle, right? Inner thighs are going to collapse and our groin is going to collapse. So it has this huge chain effect all the way up to the next foundation, the next stable shelf, which is our hips and our pelvis. This is also going to lead to low back pain because the low back is being compressed from everything falling down, and potentially a pelvic floor collapse. Okay, so that's a lot happening here. So let's practice creating strong arches, okay, in our feet. So I'm going to talk us through this and then I'm going to demonstrate it. So you can do this standing up or sitting down. I'm actually going to come here so that you can see my foot. Okay. So here's what I want you to do in order to have strong arches. I want you to start to rest your weight on the front center of the heel. So this is our heel, the front center of the heel. So just visualize where that is, and you can play around with this by moving the feet, trying to find where that center, more to the front, feels at the heel. So you're gonna just rest your weight there. We're not pressing in, okay? We're just resting our weight. We're finding that spot. And then I want you to feel really grounded into the area of your toe box, but actually the base of your big toe and the base of your little toe. The base of your big toe, the base of your little toe. So again, find that spot, visualize it, look down and see it, and rest there. Feel grounded there. And I want you to keep your toes just lightly extended. You're not flexing them. You're not trying to reach actively, okay? You're not scrunching the toes up. You're just allowing them to extend nice and naturally. And then from here, I want you to lift up your toes and drop them back down. And like my teacher says, Maria Shamas, who's a yoga therapist and a nurse, and I learned all of my functional, the physical therapy part of yoga from her. She wants you to pump your toes like you're pumping flat tires, okay? And I want you to take a peek at the arch. What's happening here? The arches lift every time you lift those toes up. And go ahead, keep those toes lifted up. If you can reach down, I want you to feel the engagement of the arch there. So that is what we are looking for. We're looking for engaged arches, strong arches here. All right. And then we'll let the toes come back down, but try to keep that engagement there, even if it's just energetically. You're keeping that visualization of those arches nice and lifted. Beautiful. Okay. So that's one exercise that you can do, okay, for the arches, pumping the flat tires, right? Okay. We're going to do another exercise here, and I'm going to do it standing to demonstrate, and you can do this seated if you'd like. So you might notice that I have a mat rolled out here. Now this is because I'm actually on a carpet right now, so there's a lot of grip, but I want you to just be aware that you don't want to slip here. I want you to feel really safe and stable here. So if you need to go on some sort of texture like this mat up against a wall, okay? Roll this back. And so we're going to, I'm going to grab, this is my little handy dandy yoga therapy bag. And I'm going to find my tennis ball. Okay, so this is essential for this exercise. So if you have one, go ahead and grab it. Okay, if you're watching the recording, you can just pause this and grab a tennis ball or anything that's similar to the size and the, not consistency, but the, I don't know, what is it called? The strength of it. Okay, so we are going to do this exercise, and this is to release and refresh the posterior chain of the body. So that's the back chain of the body, and we are releasing it, we're refreshing it, okay? We're giving it a new life here. So we are going to place this ball in 5 different places on each of your feet, and you're going to feel a little difference here. So first, you can again do this seated, but just to demonstrate, just so that we see a starting point, I want us to stand up or sit nice and tall, feet hip distance apart or 2 fists wide, placing 2 fists between the feet there. And then we're going to go ahead and inhale, reach the arms all the way up overhead, bringing the palms together. Feel the hands where they are. Exhale, the arms back down. And then inhale, reach the arms up. This time feel into the side body. Feel if one side feels different than the other. Exhale, back down. And I want you to inhale. Feel the entire back side of the body, the backs of your legs, your entire spine, your shoulders. And then exhale back down. Beautiful. All right. So to begin, we're going to start with that ball. We're going to bring it underneath the heel of the right foot. So we're going to place that ball underneath the right foot. We're going to step that left foot back a little bit just to find stability. Make sure the feet are in 2 different lanes of traffic. And again, you can do this seated. Have your hand on a wall if you are standing. And remember I mentioned that one of the largest bones here in the heel? That's what we're going for. And you're going to start to place maybe a little bit of pressure into that heel. You could bring your hands to the thigh, bend into the knee, and apply a little bit of pressure here. Now, if you don't want to apply any more pressure, you can just do this standing without engaging, without folding forward at all. It's just some nice deep breaths here. Beautiful. Now we're going to transition. We're going to bring the ball just a little bit in front of the heel. This space might feel a little bit more tender. We're getting a little bit more tender as we come to the center of the foot, but it's just right in front of the heel. And again, we can just play around here. Maybe you just start to pulse, feel into that space. We're releasing the fascia here as we do this massage. You can step back, place even more pressure here. Play around with it. And deep breaths. Beautiful. And we're slowly come back up. Now this time we're going to bring the ball to the center. Now this is where it feels really sensitive. I promise it's the most sensitive here. And you're just going to apply, again, a little bit of pressure. Maybe you find that pulsing. Maybe you take that step back. Just see how it feels. Could feel really intense. And deep breaths. All right. Next one, coming to our toe box, the widest part of your foot. So the heel now is down and you're applying that pressure to the widest part of the foot. Beautiful. And then finally, the toes. So like you are spreading the toes alongside the entire ball. We're just giving the toes a little stretch here. Nice breathing. Beautiful. And then we'll release that. All right. Go ahead and just kind of find any movement, shake it off. Let's take a deep breath in, sweep the arms all the way up to the sky. Exhale, relax the arms down. Inhale, reach up. Notice the side body. And exhale down. Last one, inhale, reach up. Notice the back body. And exhale down. Beautiful. Now you might already notice how just doing that massage, rolling of with the tennis ball, the entire right side of the body feels more open, right? It feels longer. So let's even things out. So again, we're starting with the heel here, center of the heel. The toes, the rest of the foot is nice and grounded, and applying however much pressure. Deep breaths. And then we're moving to just slightly in front of that heel. Beautiful. And then to the center of the foot, the most sensitive part. Beautiful. And then finally, the toe box, the widest part of your foot. So the heel can be on the ground here. And because we're releasing fascia in our feet, one of our shelves, one of our foundations, it is affecting the fascia in the rest of the body. So we really feel that. And then finally, the toes. Beautiful. All right, unwind from there. Okay, so come back to your center. Inhale, sweep the arms all the way up. Exhale the arms down. Two more just like that, feeling into your body. Last one. Beautiful. So taking a moment, just feeling the openness that you've created, really noticing this uh, this chain of effects here. All right. So we're going to do a couple more exercises, but I wanted to show you my little toolkit here. So I have this bag. I have all sorts of things in here to help relieve and release muscles. So you can, just to get an idea, like it doesn't have to be a tennis ball, okay? I have these, what are these called? Yoga tune-up therapy balls. These are really popular and really good for a lot of parts of the body. They're a little bit heavy, they're a little bit dense. I have bands for stretching. I have another kind of tune-up ball. Yeah, this is tune-up. This is a bigger one, tune-up fitness. I use this to get into the back muscles a little bit more, but it massages all parts of the body. The pelvis is a really good one. I have this other ball that inflates. It's a lot more squishy. Let's see, I have other bands in here. I wanted to show you another tennis ball. Here's another ball. This is the rad ball, and it has all these spikes on it. It's plastic and rubber. It has all these spikes on it, and I always have a hard time opening this, but this opens up to give you a half ball. No, it's not going to cooperate, is it? So when this opens up, it's going to give you just a 1/2 so that you have a stable base, okay, to put that flat on the floor. And then so you're not going to be rolling around on it, right? This always gives me a hard time. Okay, anyway, that's the rad ball. So I just wanted to share that there's things out there. I also have this other little kit with, these are all specifically for the feet. Toe separators, we're going to get into that. So if we're going to do an exercise on separating the toes, but if you have any issues with toe separation, these are really nice to have. You could also place cotton balls in between the toes. That's another little handy trick. You could just put them on for 5 minutes while you're watching TV. So I have another little squishy ball. And so, just depending on the density. Now this is really, really hard. Now this is going to be more intense to massage into the feet. So this is a little bit more advanced, I would say. And then I have a really, really squishy one. Okay, so there's all different ones that you can use. You can whatever you have lying around, or the next time you're at the dollar store and you just see something like a kid's toy, you want to grab it. There's different tools that you can use that are really inexpensive. Some of these balls are expensive, but you can use whatever you have on hand. Okay, so I wanted to share that with you. And was there anything else from my list? No. Okay, so we're going to get back into sharing the screen. Where is it? There it is. Okay. So we're going to be doing these foot exercises. All right, these are for strong and flexible feet. We're going to go through them all. Oops. Okay, so our first exercise is the toe raise, point, and curl. Now I'm going to demonstrate these from my seat. You should be able to see my feet and the screen. All right, so the toe raise, we're going to hold each pose for 5 seconds and repeat. We're not going to repeat 10 times, but we're going to repeat 3 times. So we're going to go ahead and lift up the heels, point the toes, and then curl the toes under, and then release. All right, let's do that again. We're going to go ahead and lift up the heels, point the toes, and curl the toes under, and release. You might feel tension, wiggle it out, especially if you're new to this. It might feel really intense. Just do your best, lifting up the heels, and point, and curl. Beautiful. Release and just kind of shake it out, wiggle it out. Okay, next is our big toe stretch. So I want you to actually physically move your big toe. I want you to wiggle it forward and back, like you're curling it and then pressing it back towards you. And then we're going to go ahead and hold. So like you're lifting your toe up. Hold it here. Flexing the toe back towards you. Beautiful. Release that. We're going to do the other side. So again, forward and back. And then flex that toe back towards you. Beautiful. Release that, shake it out. Now, I want you to go ahead and just look down at your feet, lift up your toes. We're looking at the big toe for just a moment. Your toe should be able to lift between, I'd say 2.5, maybe 2 to 3 inches off the ground. So if your big toe is not lifting up like 60 degrees, maybe, you know, to be, more generous, maybe 45, then you really need to do these exercises. It is crucial, okay? Because your foot just is not coming along for the ride. It's affecting how you walk, it's affecting your balance, all sorts of things in the rest of your body. Okay, toe splay. So as you see in this photo, she has those toe separators. Okay, so you can use those, okay, to realign your toe position, restore your natural foot shape, and to increase your movement, your mobility. All right. So another point, when we strengthen and we're able to control that strength, we have balance. All right, so toe splay. Try to separate your toes as much as possible. All of them. Splay out those toes, holding, and then release. And again, Splay the toes, find as much space between each toe as you can, and release. Last one, spread them out and release. Beautiful. Shake it out if you need to. Okay, next one is toe curls with a towel, excuse me. So I'm not going to use a towel right now, but you can do this on your own. So you are actually curling with your feet on a towel and you're curling the towel towards you. You're gripping the towel with your toes, right? To scrunch it up. And you could pretend like you have a towel here, scrunching it up. Beautiful. And then shake that out. I believe this is our last one, and we did something like this already, but the ball rolling. So massaging the bottom of the foot helps with pain, and that's going to also help to release that fascia and that myofascial chain that goes all the way along the body. Okay. So does anyone have any questions? We covered a lot. Okay. Well, you have your exercises. Hopefully, you've learned a little bit more about how the foot operates and what to look for in your feet. Um, and you could refer to this recording at any time. And if you want to go more in depth, we can do more workshops like this. We can do more about the feet. We can go into different subjects as well, but if you wanna get more into this, we can surely do that. When I work with people one-on-one, the feet are the first things that I assess. The feet are where where we start, right? It's our foundation. And that's where I see where things are happening in the rest of the body. So even if you came to me and said, I have low back pain, my hips hurt, my knee hurts, I'm going to start by looking at your feet. Okay. And going into a big assessment of that, into how you walk, into the alignment of your feet and your ankle to your knee, right? Looking at everything. And I take pictures and I look to see I measure where degrees are. Also in this bag is one of my tools that I use. So I will actually measure the degrees of the range of your mobility. And I can do this also by taking photos, and I have an app that I use, so doing it virtually. So really getting in depth into what it is exactly where you need assistance or more awareness in your body, and then using different tools and different exercises in order to correct them so that you feel better, right? Okay, if there aren't any other questions, hopefully you've learned a little something, and you can always ask me questions in the page of this recording. And yeah, we'll go from there. Thank you so much, everyone. Bye.